नमस्कार। फिर पैसा बोलता है में आपका स्वागत है। मैं आनंद श्रीनिवासन। आज शनिवार है, सैटरडे है। आज हम हॉट टेक्स करेंगे। पिछले 2 हफ्ते हॉट टेक्स मिस हो गया क्योंकि बाहर था, लेकिन आज तो हॉट टेक्स करेंगे। आज उन्होंने मिंट पेपर खोला है, जो उसमें न्यूज़ है, उसके बारे में हम आज बात करेंगे। टॉक टू यू।
International banks and sovereign wealth funds are buying Indian bonds. Why, Anand?
This is because the Morgan Stanley included us in one index, and a lot of international indices included the Indian bonds into that index.
So, you first explain what that means, because people don't understand. When you include an index, that means when the mutual fund invests.
I'll tell you. So, like you have indices for stock markets. In global markets, you have indices for bonds. So, you have suppose you have an emerging market bond index. These countries will be part of that. India was never a part of a global market index. This is because we cannot, all our debt is denominated in rupees. We don't have debt denominated in the dollar, or any tradable currency.
Right.
Since the liquidity on the rupee was doubtful, so far people were resisting. And there was also a tax treatment problem. The government bent backward to change the tax treatment, and the rupee is now freely available.
Correct.
That there is enough traction because you have no more than exports and imports are more than $1 trillion.
Yes.
And you have about $100,000 of total forex coming into investments.
Yes.
So with 1.1 trillion, when you sell the bond, there is somebody to buy. The fear was if you were selling the bond, somebody had to buy it and then you have to convert it into dollars.
Yes.
So this was the reason why it was not being done before. Now it is very clear that they will get a good return. That is, they'll get 7.5% in returns today. If they get 7.5%, and even if there is 2 or 3% in depreciation, you will get 4.5% in dollar terms, which is a very good return in the emerging market index. So more people have come in, and this helps India because Indian government is a perpetual borrower, and because of fixed deposit, because basically banks and other institutions were buying your bonds, and this was crowding out the private sector. So when others buy those bonds, the private sector can go to other Indian local bonds. India does not have a big private sector bond market because most of the excess available savings is absorbed by the government, especially for the SLR requirements of banks and pension funds. So you have added another basket of clients to whom you can sell bonds to. That is why it is very important.
Okay. GDP forecast, Modi has raised it to 8%. And if you look, APAC region across the world, India, Indonesia, then China is the only ones which are above 4. After that, everything drops off to 3, and US is at just 1.
Bloomberg has carried a very good article that which shows that the growth figures are not what you see is not what you get. It says it is distorted is the word used by Bloomberg. If you look at India's...
It was only India or world?
No, this is India we are talking about.
Okay.
So if you look at gross value add, gross value add plus net taxes collected is the GDP figure. So gross value add is basically the real GDP, which is at 6.3. What has happened is net taxes. That is, after paying of subsidies, what is the tax left? Which is normally negative, has turned positive this time. Not because the amount of tax collected has shot up tremendously. The subsidies that were supposed to be paid last quarter were not paid. So net debt has been kept, net taxes has been kept high, and therefore you have got a number. When you apply the smell test, when you go and see in the market, and you remember what it was in Manmohan Singh's time, the real estate market and all markets were all heated up at 8%. So the outside market, you don't feel like that there is an 8% growth. This is primarily because this is an accounting geography. The other thing in this problem is how much of inflation are you showing? If you basically say that the inflation deflator is 2%, as claimed by the government, or the deflator is 2%, that means prices have risen only 2% to the entire year over last year. But a basket of commonly consumed goods, if you see, the inflation figure is much higher than the 2% they talk about. So even Bloomberg understands that there is a problem in the growth number. So we are not able to estimate the current growth number. As far as Moody is concerned, it is the problem of a rater. If I will rate whoever is paying me a fee. So if you are paying me a fee, I am biased to say that you will do extraordinary things. We have been hearing these extraordinary growth numbers over a period of time. The manipulated growth itself is 7.2 and the real growth is around about 5.5, 6. So this is the reality of all growth numbers.
So this Modi rating like this you're saying, is it also true in their corporate ratings?
Of course it's true.
So you
After
mean
the 2008, there was a big argument in America where people were worried about corporate ratings because the guy who was paying the rating agency was the guy who was being rated. So I'm going to, it's a competitive world. If there are 3 people rating, I'll go to the guy who will give me the maximum rating because it will bring down my borrowing cost. So basically, it's a competitive market. If you are truthful with everything, nobody will give you the business.
But if this has been happening since 2007 and in the public, then why does anyone even pay attention to this?
Who is paying attention? The media has to fill up pages, look nice to the government. That's the mandate. So I put all these out.
So, but as an investor, even if these guys give ratings for companies, it's not worth anything. Is it?
But what I'm trying to tell you, it is not worth it. If you are going to invest in a company based on ratings, then something is terribly wrong. When you look at Fisher's principles, which I've written in my book, he doesn't talk about rating agencies. He talks about your own judgment of the promoter.
Because a valid point, because a lot of people have been asking us this, because Tata Motors recently got a BAA rating or something, and they said, what does that mean? I was telling everyone it means nothing.
It means nothing. Even if you give Tata Motors a C plus rating, you know for sure that Ratan Tata will not default.
Correct.
And he has a track record.
Yes.
So there is no point in whether the currency is C or D or E or F or G. Even if he is G minus, which is the lowest junk possible rating, he announces a fundraising. Indians will queue up to give him money. So it doesn't matter.
Okay. Both India and UK right now, the situation, they both need each other, they need to be friends. But why come they're always finding these sticky situations that they're not able to figure it out?
The point is...
And that we also have a very friendly Prime Minister on both sides.
No, the point is, there is a big hue and cry on migration. So if you want...
But their Prime Minister itself is an Indian origin.
No, he's Indian origin. His parents were from Uganda or somewhere. See, the point is, if we sign the agreement, you'll ask for a more liberal visa regime. And most of England today, biggest part of England, English economy is this.
They don't have the appetite.
Foreign student migration there. So the foreign student will come only if you give him 2-3 years visa afterwards to stay. So the moment if India is going to give some concession, it's going to ask for more access to country there. And most of us don't go there to study and come back. 90% of India uses that as a
launching
pad. The movie Dunki user.
Yes. They did not help Rishi Sunak's situation.
You had Dunki you saw, Farooq Khan.
Yes.
An illegal route to migrate into England.
Yes.
Because all people like to multiply the pound by 100 and look at it. And forgetting that you are spending the same amount to
stay there.
So that is a problem. But we have a fascination. So our government will ask for a more liberal visa regime. And that is exactly why we have been talking for so long without a solution in sight.
But then the election cycle coming in there and here, there seems to be no end to this right now.
No, for here it is, nobody is bothered whether we tie up with US, UK. But for UK it's very important because they are broken with the Euro Union.
Yes.
And they want to tie up with a country like ours.
Because they have a large market access.
Yeah.
Okay.
आपने इस पॉडकास्ट को सुना, इसके लिए मैं आपका आभारी हूँ. अगर हो सके तो आप इस वीडियो को लाइक कीजिए, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और बेल नोटिफिकेशन दबाएं. हो सके तो इस वीडियो को अपने दोस्त और रिश्तेदार के पास भेजें. और उनको देखने की आग्रह करें। नमस्कार, धन्यवाद, जय हिंद।